The following story is an artistic work of fiction and falsehood. Only a fool would consider it as fact. Chapter 9. Nurse-kun is shit at origami. January 24th, 2007. Hey B. Just a quick check-in as I get ready for work, having been busy all day running errands and meeting with various people to do various other things. I figure that some of you might care, so I'll drop off the tidbit and let you see for yourselves. Inspired by a few comments at the end of Sunday's thread before I was called away and it disappeared, I thought to myself, why not? And I went out on Monday to pick up a book on origami and a package of origami specialized paper. I know, unoriginal. I presented it to her after I signed into work and found no emergencies waiting. She wasn't so hot on the idea at first, similar to her initial reaction to the DS, but I offered to give it a try first, and demonstrate that I was willing to show my own ineptitude, just to prove that a less than perfect first attempt on her part wouldn't be her fault. My first crane, which was the only origami I ever actually made before then, back in grade 9, looked like it'd been hatched on top of a toxic waste dump, to be kind. It actually provoked a short, stifled laugh from her, which is always very nice to hear, rare as it is, and the fact that she did try to stifle it made me feel a bit better about how badly I'd sucked. She was still somewhat hesitant, but after a bit of friendly coaxing, she eventually consented to try one, at least. It seemed that she'd had at least a little experience with origami before then, which isn't that surprising considering her mother's parentage, so she didn't need to check the book. She has an amazing memory, as I believe I've mentioned before. I fetched her arm from where it rested beside her bedside and helped her don it, something she's gotten comfortable with my doing, thankfully, and fetched the square for her. It took her a while, in a state of intense concentration, and I practically held my breath as the crane began to take shape. It was clear that her lack of stereoscopic vision was making it harder for her than it had been for me, particularly once it began to move past flat folding to give it 3 dimensions. Still, she was doing much better than I had been. Not perfectly, of course, as it was clear that this was a new exercise for her, but very well indeed, all in all. It took her about 5 minutes, and I was almost ready to jump in and offer her some help at a few points, but I managed to resist, thankfully. She even eventually wound up using her mouth as a secondary grasping tool, something she's been doing for a while, though not in a dirty way, you perverts. And the wings flapped out, and there it was. Sure, it was a bit of an ugly eggling, but it looked considerably better than mine, which seemed to please her, though not in a petty way. Her looking pleased was enough to make me look that way too, and we went on to make a couple more before I was called away. I returned after a half hour to find another half dozen waiting for me. Each of them looked a little better than the previous one, and she seemed pleased by my admiration for her work, even smiling a little, just for a few seconds, at least. We started working on trying a frog next, and, well, time runs short, so I'll synopsize. It was a nice couple of hours, all in all, before she eventually drifted off around 1. I'm glad I did it, and I'm looking forward to what I'll find when I show up at work in 45 minutes or so. I'll need to leave in another 15, so I won't be around as long as usual this time, but, well, hey, here you go. She kicks that whiny emo kid's ass in all ways. I'm the guy who suggested the chocolate orange. Do you ever sneak in a longer touch when putting on her arm, or is it purely professional and succinct? Maybe something she wouldn't notice, but you would. Embrace a bit of pedo into your heart, man. Too many questions to answer them all, but I will do this one. No, I haven't. I touch her enough while I'm helping her put them on as it is, let alone for other reasons, and touching her inappropriately would just be more trouble than it's worth, not to mention it being not good in general. The fact that she's come to be comfortable with me to this extent, more so than the other nurses, isn't something I want to ruin. Well, I need to get going now. Sorry. Like I said, it had to be a short one. Takes me at least 20 minutes on a good night to get from my place to the workplace, so yeah. Have a good night, B. I'll see about updating earlier next time. Oh, and now that it's popped back into my head, whoever posted on the wiki about going into a field in college related to prosthetics, you have my admiration. Good for you, and good luck. I'm not sure how I feel about having sort of inspired someone else like that, but still, wow. See you. I'm out.